Hello, hello. We are back. I was on hiatus yesterday. Usually like if it's like a Memorial Day situation, Labor Day, 4th of July, like a holiday, that is one day where I'm highly likely to take the day off and follow some spontaneous plans. And one of my good friends from work, his birthday was this week, so I figured he would probably try to get people together to do something for his birthday, and sure enough, it worked out. So we went to a couple of places last night, had fun, and I just thought, I'll just take the day off on making content, and I'll just rest for the holiday. So we're back. We're going to pick up with our weekly anchor message so that we can get the meat and potatoes of the lessons of the week. The manifestation message and the romance message of the week are usually the negotiable ones. I feel that they aren't as quite as poignant sometimes as the others. So we will skip the manifestation reading for this week and instead replace with the anchor message. So from the wild unknown archetypes, we have the warrior. And if you're new to the channel, the anchor message of the week gives us our spiritual lessons, whereas like Sunday night's weekly energy oracle forecast gives us like the energetic spiritual weather report. Monday's reading, the anchor message of the week, is usually on Monday night. We get our spiritual assignments for the week. It's more specific. Followed by the vessel. Followed by the animal. Underneath the warrior, we have 7 of Cups. Underneath the vessel, we have the world reverse. And underneath the animal, we've got the moon reverse. I'm going to let you guys listen to the audio really quick, and then we'll be right back to go into the cards. In the cosmic realm that exists outside of space-time, last week, we connected to the moment God presented the Torah to the Israelites at Mount Sinai. Think of this week as a more intimate introduction to the Torah, both in her external appearance and her essence, which is her soul. Just as we learn that the Torah has an external appearance and an internal nature, just as people have, so do the experiences that we encounter throughout life. The key to unlocking the secret of everything is being able to find the light of the Creator within every circumstance that we face. Asking why something is in your life, specifically from a desire to grow and transform and not to complain and be victimized, allows the light to be revealed through the situation and for transformation and growth to occur. We empower ourselves as spiritual vessels by taking responsibility proactively with authority and ownership. We accept that this is the assignment, and this is what must be dealt with. In order to make true change and transformation happen, we really have to fight within ourselves to choose to look at life through the eyes of the Creator, rather than through the lens of our animal instincts and survival mechanisms. We have to train ourselves in the discipline of seeing the internal nature rather than relying solely upon what our 5 senses tell us about the external nature. This is a difficult consciousness to break, but this will set the vessel free from limitations, barriers, and stagnation. An inner change must occur for the outer change to occur. Fear is keeping us limited by keeping us distracted on the outer circumstances rather than the greater truth. Okay, so last week we had the holiday of Shavuot. And Shavuot is the day that the Israelites, after they have traveled for 49 days after the splitting of the Red Sea, they've reached Mount Sinai, they've consecrated themselves, and then God meets them there and presents the Torah to the people. Now, that is sort of like this big ceremonial moment, very exciting, very big, very grand, very like, on a macro scale, like here's the Torah, big picture, right? Well, this week it's like we're taking a more intimate look. It's like, imagine if like a royal person arrived on at an event, and they were announced and they were brought into the room, and everybody had this ball to celebrate the royal visit, and the monarch comes in and they wave at the people, they greet everyone, and they sit in the throne, and then everybody has this big party and celebration around them. And say, after that big presentation, then like the next day they would have maybe like a press junket to do, where they would go in and sit down in like an intimate interview setting and get to know people on a more one-on-one, intimate, personal basis, right? Maybe they have appointments of people and ambassadors that they have to speak to or visit with, So imagine that the Torah is a royal figure that we've been presented with for the first time. But now this week, it's like the Torah itself, the Zohar, is revealing secrets about, after the initial getting the Torah, how should we understand the Torah? How should we look at the Torah? Now that we've gotten our first general impression of the Torah, what do we know? What do we learn when we're getting to know the Torah more intimately, right? And so what we learned this week, the major focus, is that the Torah is not just to be taken at face value. That yes, there are these stories and historical accountings and parables and things, and they do give a topical sort of moral that we take away, but there's also these deeper layers to the Torah, and we're not supposed to just look at it from a surface level, because we're missing the real bigger picture. It's like we're looking at someone and judging them based on their appearance, but we're not getting the essence and the soul of them. So that's what this week's lessons are all about. Not only like in life, the inner reality is always being expressed in the outer reality. The greater reality is always being mirrored in these mirror realities. Like there's the microcosm is always being expressed in like a microcosm. Like, have you ever been in a dressing room that has those mirrors that kind of like are octagonal and they go all the way around? And when you look into the one in front of you, you can see your reflection behind you, and it like kind of infinitely goes on and on and on and on. Well, cosmic truth kind of works like that. Like whatever is cosmically true at the root, it will continue to like mirror that truth in like Russian nesting dolls. Like every layer, every dimension also expresses that to be true. So in a grand sense, there is hidden light concealed within the outer expression, right? And so that is true where like the Torah, the outer expression of the Torah, is the stories and the history lessons and all of that, the obvious things that the literal words are telling us. But the essence of the Torah, the soul of the Torah underneath, is the real meat of it, right? And that's the real light that is to be revealed. We have an outer exterior, an outer appearance, an outer ego, but we also have an internal essence, an internal soul, an inner reality that is the true self, right? You see my clothes, you see my hair, and you can, make some guesses about me, but you don't know the real me deeply. That's the essence of me, right? The same is true for the world and life. Everything that we see has this hidden light in it waiting to be revealed. God is everywhere and everything. God is omnipresent. God is that light waiting to be revealed out of the physical, like, husk, right? The physical skin has light underneath it. And so just as we think of, God being in the flower and in the tree and in the baby and in the cow over there and in the sheep and in the, like God is everywhere, right? Lift a stone and you will find me, split a piece of wood and I am there. I believe that's from the Gospel of Thomas, although we haven't gotten there yet. The nature of life and life's experiences are also two-part, right? There is the outer circumstances that we experience and we perceive, but there's hidden light beneath them. So life becomes about remembering that there is hidden light in everything. So whatever the outer circumstances are, there's a hidden aspect of the light waiting to be revealed through that. So say you're in great circumstances and wonderful things are happening, then this is an opportunity to seize and be grateful for, and let that nurture your gifts and let that bring you goodness to share with others, right? And take advantage of the opportunity and make the most of it and use that as an opportunity to grow and expand, right? And say you're in a set of circumstances that you would, maybe categorize as unpleasant or undesirable, or you might label them bad, right, at face value. Well, like those circumstances, God is within those as well, waiting to be revealed, or the potential that God can be in those circumstances can be activated. Let's just put it that way. The light can be activated because even negative circumstances can serve to ignite something in you, catalyze something in you, awaken something in you. It can alert you to something that needs to be exposed or revealed. It can lead you to something that needs to be worked on or repaired within you or in your circumstances. Over the weekend, one of the teachings that one of the teachers brought up, that the head teacher of the Kabbalah Center, who's now passed away, but Rav Berg, he would say that we always need to take ultimate responsibility, even for things that have nothing to do with us. He would say, if it's landing at your feet and it's in your movie, then it's been brought to you for a reason, even if it's not your fault, even if it's not technically your responsibility. As Kabbalists or as spiritual people that are seekers, we actually can proactively accept and take responsibility for things enthusiastically, because that then is empowering rather than being the victim of circumstance. So, for instance, the Rav would feel anxiety about a war overseas and feel like he personally needed to do something about it, even though it's what do you have to do with this? This war is over across the world. I don't know. It doesn't, it may not have anything to do with me, but I feel like I need to do something about it. I need to do something to counteract this energy. I need to do something to bring light into the situation. It's if not me, who, right? I was reading something, I rarely read the comments on social media posts because, what a way to ruin your day. But I happened to catch this one, and it was about AI, and people were talking about boycotting probably Open AI or ChatGPT or one of those. And this woman in the comments was like, I'm just one grandma, but I'll try to stop using it. And I was just I got in there and I commented to her, and I'm like, okay, everyone in a system is just one grandma. Everybody thinks that it's just me, I'm just one person, but that's how people accumulate into masses and millions of people who are well, it's just one person. I mean, that's how we're at the point we are in our environmental crisis, because people for, centuries and decades and, have just been well, it's just me, I'm just one person, right? So I'm just well, everybody thinks they're only one person. That's how people accumulate, right? That's how it turns into mass, critical masses of people following trends and behaviors, and it becomes systematic. And I was like, not to mention, if you're a grandmother, you've literally lived your entire life without AI. Like, you don't need it. Like, just continue to rely on your own life experience. Have some confidence in your own lived wisdom, and have confidence in your own skills. Don't let someone tell you that you can't get by without AI. Like, it's only been around for, several months now. Like, and you've been around on this earth for several decades, and already you're just like, well, I guess I'll try to stop using it if I can. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just one person. It's like, wake up, everyone. Wake up. We are all just one person. Millions and billions of people add up to millions and billions of people. Like, you know what I mean? This is how things become a crisis. So we have to decide within ourselves right now. The Warrior card is here with the Seven of Cups. Seven of Cups is like this energy of being sort of like indecisive, and you're kind of distracted, or you're like dreaming and you're fantasizing about something, but you're not like bringing it into like a physical expression. And I think that we're kind of wrestling with our consciousness right now, right? Because like I was just saying, it's like taking responsibility for what we're seeing. So part of this week's lesson is not just that there's more to the Torah than people understand at face value. There's more to everything that's happening to us in every part and every instance of our lives that we should not dismiss as just face value. We should ask, why is this in my movie? And not from a place of being victimized, like, what is happening to me? But everything that's happening, there's a reason for it. Nothing is wasted. So why did the Creator think that this was the thing to put in my story right here? What is this showing me? Is this teaching me something about myself? Is it giving me a warning about something that's going on that needs my attention in my life, like, or in the world? Like, what is this thing trying to tell me here? What is it trying to do for me? Is it an opportunity I should seize? So we need to extract the value of these experiences, especially when they're uncomfortable, because that's the only way to break the cycle so that they don't keep happening. If we can see what's the lesson here? Why is this happening? And so that is what separates the wise from the foolish and those who please God, right? One of the reasons that Moses was the greatest servant that God ever had, or he said, like, you're the greatest servant, in the world. It's because Moses was always checking in, asking, like, okay, what is this purpose serving? Like, how can I approach this better? How can I purify my ego more out of the situation and elevate my spirit more? How can I reflect your light more? Like, how can I do this better for you, God? Like, how can I serve the people better? Like, how could I have changed that? Like, he was constantly trying to develop his soul and break away those shells of negativity and be a good servant of God for the people, right? And so that made him even greater. And so when someone is like that, they're truly humble and they're truly righteous, then that actually gives them more power and authority on a cosmic level. And so they can wield their willpower and, channel miracles and influence things to change, right? So this week we are in a moment where we really have to make an effort. I think any time this warrior card shows up, it's usually a week where I have to like put the elbow grease in. I have to really move quickly at work to keep up. It's like if I want to have the bounty, I've got to, take those little 10,000 steps, like run the miles, like it's, you've got to make the effort. You've got to put the work in. But I think that this is also from a consciousness perspective. I think that this is being reflected in many layers. I think we're going to have to decide within ourselves, be decisive to just take the bull by the horns and get to work and put in the effort to seize the day, to seize the opportunities. I think that we are going to have to make an effort to take control of our mindset and put on those creator colored glasses where we're seeing the world more from a higher perspective and trying to figure out the puzzle of how these circumstances are being used to awaken and reveal the light of my soul, right? How are they how can this be wielded to reveal more light of my soul? I think that we're going to have to choose to vote with that attitude, to look for God in every situation, even the dark ones. And it's not that God, it's like, what do you do when you're in this like tragic or like very dark or evil situation? And it's not like God's up there going like, I put you in this situation so you can figure it out. It's not like that. It's like trying to overcome the situation, and coming out of that, how are you going to let that experience shape you, right? Because life can either break us down and tear us apart, or we can become even more invincible through what we survive. We can become that much more understanding or compassionate. We can become even more of a warrior for the sake of good when we've gone through something. That fire, that fight is in us because we have nothing to lose in a way, So I think that we are activating that fighting spirit, that warrior within us that's like, I'm determined to find the light in this situation, and I'm determined to reveal the light through these situations, and I will be the light, and I will be the light bringer, and I will search for the light and focus on the light, and I will have tunnel vision for the light. And another thing is, I think that we are going to have to make an effort to drag ourselves out of an old energy and into new energy. I think that there's some resistance to change, or there's resistance to something that's coming up. And this can be good old-fashioned like procrastination. I know that like for me personally, I've been working on launching this publication on Substack, and it's been kind of a tedious effort to try to navigate the ins and outs of it, but I'm really excited about it. And it's like you really have to, even when you're excited, to make an effort to keep that momentum going, or else it's like, okay, I've got that filmed, but I need to edit that, and I need, I've got a couple of more ideas that are part of this welcome series, and so it's like I need to stay on top of it. I don't need to procrastinate, right? And so then we have to make those decisions and choices in real time. Ooh, it's getting late. I need to actually start filming more starting tomorrow. So I need to go to bed early and switch my shift. You know what I mean? These are the times, these are the battles that we fight with ourselves, that we need to have the most decisive energy to get over the hump. So in the effort that we make, this is how we correct the vessel, right? When we have, what creates the vessel, right? When I want to, let's say I want to launch this publication, right? What is the vessel? Or I want to make a whole career out of, and I want to make a whole life out of studying God's glorious creations and mysteries, right? So that is sort of like a vessel in and of itself. But in order to achieve that goal, what is the vessel? I have to create the platform to do that. Well, what's the vessel within that? It's the desire to get that done, and the willingness to practice restriction, which is, what is restriction? It's making an effort. It's restricting my laziness, and it's restricting it's structure, it's discipline. So it's pushing myself to utilize my energy and resources and diffusing them into a purpose, a focused intention. So it takes restriction, it takes discipline to do that, because you have to get rid of the distractions and focus on a goal, right? So the vessel through which something, it's like the vehicle through which your goal happens, And the vessel is determined, like the shape, the quality, the strength of the vessel is determined through your desire for that thing, because that's going to determine your willingness to make the effort and the restriction you put in. So let me say this again. The vessel is the vehicle through which you manifest your desire. And the quality of the vessel is determined, the capacity of the vessel is determined by one's desire and the restriction that they are able to practice. So if like my goal, say, is weight loss, and I want to lose a certain amount of weight, right? I am going to be able to do that based on the fact that, okay, how bad do I want it? Do I want it bad enough to restrict my diet and eat healthy foods and cut out the things that are working against me? And do I have the desire and the discipline to make the effort to exercise, right? If I want to launch this publication, I have to have enough desire to make it happen, and then I have to sit down and do the tasks and make the content and put it out there, and then share the content and promote the content. There's a lot of restriction, right? And it requires a lot of desire, because there's a lot of effort that needs to be exerted, right? When we break our negativity and we enhance our light, we are preparing the vessel to channel the light, right? The more that we become a vessel that bears affinity with the Creator, the more vibrational resonance we have with the light of the Creator, and we can connect with that power. So everything that we're doing, that we're putting an effort in, is refining our vessel to be able to channel this light through. And that once we're on our way to these goals, it's not just about ticking these boxes off, but can we maintain this? Can we not only fulfill this manifestation, but can we maintain it and sustain it also? So the vessel here is paired with the world, and so the world in reverse. And so there's something where we're working against ourselves. We're either not generating enough desire, or we're not practicing enough restriction, right? So we're either not exerting enough discipline and we're not making enough effort, or we don't have enough desire. Like, have you ever gotten to the point where you're still making an effort and you're still trying, but if you feel like you're going through the motions, you're just not like jazzed up or inspired. You're just like kind of phoning it in. Or maybe you're not even phoning it in. Maybe you're still doing a really good job, but you just have no emotion about it anymore, right? We need both. And so have you ever been like super passionate and excited about something, but you continuously procrastinate, you're not making any effort, and you're not exerting any discipline over yourself, right? So we need both. So there's this world in reverse card here that's telling us there's something that we're missing. There's either a lesson that we're not quite grasping, or there's something that we're refusing to do that would make a change. Like there's something about there's something either we're failing to see, or we're not quite making the changes required to get the ball really rolling. So let me let you hear the exact wording for the world reversed from the Tarot of the Apprentice. So it says, a refusal to explore new horizons. Because your reluctance to try new ideas, fear will create stagnation. Afraid of change and insecure, lack of vision will keep you poor. The guidelines here are: you have experienced many lessons in life, but you are unable to learn from them. You are inclined to resist change and appear to enjoy being in a rut. I can vouch for that statement, where I have heard, as a tarot reader and as a person who people come to talk to about things, I can see that many people would rather stay in the rut and talk about it than make the change. And I remember one particular client had a lot of big difficult decisions to make, and he had to take some big action, and he really did it. And he actually, because of the actions that he was willing to take, he turned the situation around and it resolved itself. But so many people, like, they're given the remedy. God will tell them, hey, do this thing, or here's this, it will help, but they just don't want to do it. So you have to make the inner change for there to be outer change. You have to make the shift. So you're trying very hard, but not applying yourself in the right way. You need encouragement to try new and different things. So maybe you are working really hard, but maybe you're paddling the boat in the wrong direction, right? So maybe, reconvene yourself and regroup, and maybe consider, is there something you're missing? Is there a slight tweak that would help you change something slightly, but it would make a major difference? And then a stubborn attitude will not lend itself to success. You must be prepared to accept other people's ideas as well as your own. So that is those. And then I feel like there's also this element of feeling like life is always prodding at that animal instinct in us. Our animal instincts are kind of connected to our ego in a way. I see them as like separate branches of the same sort of company. They're like different departments of the same building that you'd go into for the same company. But like the ego is like the higher intellect that will come up with schemes and plots, very, very calculating, very clever. Whereas the animal instincts are more simple and basic, but they're really coming from the same root drive, which is selfishness, which is survival, which is me. How can I appease the flesh, right? The ego wants to appease the flesh. It's the flesh consciousness. The ego wants to appease the self. The ego wants to make sure the self survives. The ego wants to make sure the self is taken care of. The ego wants to receive instant gratification. Fix this. It's making me nervous. I want to receive for the self alone. Let's get this over with. Like the ego is very impulsive. It's very, let's get this taken care of. It doesn't have the trust to let space and to let the creator come in and move, or let the light come in and guide you, right? Let the miracle come in and reveal itself on its own. So the ego starts to, want to take control, and then the subconscious part of the ego wants to come in with this defense mechanisms and self-sabotaging tendencies and all of that stuff. Well, the animal instincts are based on basic will to survive and basic sensual desire for wanting to take something. So animals want to do gross things together. They want to fight for survival. They are constantly just sort of like thinking about, how can I meet my need? How can I meet my need? Where's my food? Where's my water? They're very basic. They're not like thinking about the higher mind and the higher intellect, and they're not thinking about how to evolve their soul, right? They're just going through the motions, going through their animalistic nature. Now, before people are spiritually awakened, we're hardly more than just animals that are more sophisticated, walking around able to talk. Honestly, we're driven completely by unconscious reflexes and our animal nature. Right. And so I think that part of life and part of like our spiritual journey is for our animal nature and our ego to be prodded and poked. And so these aspects of our nature will come up and we can see them, and then we can transcend them. When it talks about Mary Magdalene being freed from like 7 demons, it was the same 7 demons we all have. She just overcame those demons. And when you can overcome those demons, you become the master over that. And that those powers that had power over you, you then claim the sovereignty of that power. They become your own powers. So when we can overcome our animal instincts and our animal nature and our animal drives and reflexes, then we become like we have more self-mastery, we have more self-control, and therefore we can wield more influential energy in the world, whether people realize it or not. So the more that we can control our inner state, the more influence we have on the outer state of things. Because when your vibration is all over the place, in, out, in, out, in, out, nothing's stable. You're not projecting a stable, steady signal. But a person who is projecting a steady, stable signal is going to be way more influential than people who are cutting out. Think about a radio signal, right? A radio signal that's cutting in and out, the message isn't coming through. But even a bad station, if the signal is strong, then you're going to have that continuous stream of information coming through on the network, and you're probably going to listen to that radio station because it's consistent, right? It's like, okay, well, we can find something here. We'll be on AM radio, like listen to this for a minute while we're going through this, dead zone, right? Same for energetics. When we're putting out a very strong, consistent, solid frequency, that's very influential to the other frequencies. It's like a tuning fork. But if it's in and out, it's inconsistent, it's not going to be very influential. So I feel like there may be a temptation to be impulsive and to make quick decisions based on desperation or survival instincts or our animal sort of in like lusts or temptations, whether that be for whatever it is, food, basic needs, but we're physical creatures, right? So you can fill in the gaps there. But there is a warning here, and I'm going to read the moon card reverse, because it's asking us not to make any sudden moves or to maybe kind of like hold our cards close to our chest for a minute. So imagine there's a lot of tenseness in a situation and intensity's building, and you're like, should I do something? Should I just say something? Should I do something? I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I don't know if, I'm justified in my position. Well, just listen to the reverse key read, and this might help you decide what to do, not to do. Might make you feel better about where your stance is, but it might make you feel less inclined to make a quick move. Okay, so here's what the moon reverse says. Don't take any risks at this time. Possibility of a misunderstanding. Don't make changes. Wait till the storm is over. So in a way, it's like we're kind of stagnating because in the big picture, in the big sense, we're not making changes or we're missing something that needs to transform. But in the immediate sense, there might be something that is tugging at our sense of urgency or panic this week, and we need to pause and not do anything with haste. Don't do anything too hastily. So make no judgment at this date. Things will clear up if you wait. Don't waste energies in arguments or disagreements. Hold on to your point of view and add a dash of patience. Don't be afraid. Like, think about if you're in a negotiation, right? In a business negotiation. Sometimes you've sold something and then you just keep going and you keep trying to sell it, and then it almost, you start to lose the trust that you built, right? Like, know when you're ahead, right? So don't waste your energies in arguments or disagreements. Hold on to your point of view and add a dash of patience. So maybe, there's a situation where a bunch of people have to put their heads together and come to a decision. And maybe if you keep pushing your opinion in, it might push people in the opposite direction, right? So maybe just trust, have patience, and let kind of things come out and work themselves out, and don't be too forceful, right? So don't waste energies in arguments or disagreements. Hold on to your point of view and add a dash of patience. Don't be afraid to see things as they really are. be in complete control of your own emotions. So maybe there are things that we are facing right now that are scary to face. And we kind of don't want to admit that this is the situation. And it's like, don't be afraid to face the truth about situations. This is how they change, right? Maybe there's parts of you that you're like, oh, I can't believe I was like that. Or I can't believe I'm like this. I can't believe this. Like, face these things. These things are wanting to be faced now. Don't let your imagination run away with you. Keep control, and the situation will right itself in your favor. So again, this week, we might be in weird circumstances where we are forced to have to look for the light that's hiding and waiting to be revealed. We might have to really look for the lesson, and it might be very difficult to discern, but we're going to have to kind of be decisive about whether or not we're going to let our consciousness be victimized, or whether we're going to be sovereign and proactive and take responsibility even for things that maybe aren't even our responsibility, aren't even our fault. And I'm not saying that from the sense of being a codependent doormat who is like taking on everybody's shit for them. But I mean, like, be the spiritual leader in the situation. Don't wait for someone else to be the spiritual leader. We can be the spiritual leader and set the tone, right? So, and I think that this is going to take some determination and some effort. But it's something that it's needed. This moment is needed to get us out of this stagnancy. Like something we're either missing a lesson that's trying to reveal itself right now, maybe in a heightened way so that you can see it more clearly. And maybe that's starting to get confusing. Or maybe there's something you're refusing to see, or maybe there's something that you're just like not, you're having a very difficult time changing it. Something, your world is turned upside down in a way, and it needs to be turned right back up again. All right. And this is the building of the vessel here. It's facing this thing right now in this moment, just having the determination to do it and to ask God for help, knowing that we can make all the effort that we can, but we can't do it alone. So having God help you, having that humility there is going to help you immensely. And then facing your fears and facing the things that you're, uncomfortable to look at, but not letting your emotions control you, not letting them get the better of you, not letting your animalistic fears and instincts get the better of you to cause you to be reactive and impulsive and impetuous. Maintain that sovereignty and control over your energy and move slowly. Be slow to act, but be very wise and discerning. But don't be so slow to act that you're procrastinating or that you're avoiding either. All right, y'all, that is all for tonight. Tomorrow is Wednesday, so we will be back together for our alchemy message where we're unpacking our approach to the lessons. And until then, may peace be with you. Ciao.